George Miller and Hollywood in general had lofty ambitions for the Mad Max franchise. It's just they were missing a couple of ingredients. Mainly, well, Mad Max. Nothing against Tom Hardy. I like Tom Hardy. Everything that I've seen him in, I've generally liked him, or at least appreciated his performance. I mean, like, come on, who cannot forget his most memorable performance? The guy's pretty much great in everything that he does. It's just, I didn't see Mad Max Fury Road. And everything that I've seen in regards to the reviews around it, they're either negative or, yeah, it's good, I guess, but it's not really a Mad Max film. So it was just kind of strange to see that he was going to be a part of 3 more Mad Max movies, okay? And this was just published, like, not that long ago, within the past week or so. But we've also learned in the past week or so that Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, is heading to streaming platforms very shortly. That it's going to be leaving even more cinemas at a point where, I don't even know, is it even still on 1,000 screens this weekend? I highly doubt it. So no, the franchise is going to be shelved because it's not Mad Max anymore. You want to go ahead and tell a post-apocalyptic tale? You go for it. It's just, don't bastardize the legacy. Actor Tom Hardy once picked up where Mel Gibson left off. Where he left off or where he was forced off? Because 2015 Mel was very, very much canceled. 2024, Mel Gibson, haven't people kind of come around on him? Anyways, by starring in 2015's Mad Max Fury Road. But he once revealed there might have been more Mad Max sequels in his future. Hardy had been attached to Mad Max for a number of years before it officially hit theaters. The actor confided that he couldn't have been more excited to play a part in the franchise, although he admitted that there's a lot of pressure in doing the movie and inheriting a role that helped make Gibson famous. Well, yeah, exactly. Because that was still at a point in time where he had a very thick Australian accent, mind you. Not just because, the character is Australian, but, Mel's Australian. There were many actors that would probably be right for Mad Max, and there's many of them out there who could probably do an exceptional job to portray him. It's especially a challenge to step into the shoes of such an iconic character. And I'm aware that I'm going to take a certain number of casualties when I go and I play him. If I could concentrate on that, it's obviously not going to be the best thing for the project, Hardy once told Collider. Hardy also felt Gibson, even in his older age, would have been able to reprise the role as Mad Max. Yeah, exactly, and you would have had a franchise after that because old man Mad Max, training a protege, that would have been boss as hell. But no, Hollywood's not interested in telling, like a loving father-son tale. It has to be, the father being incompetent, handing the mantle that he had acquired over years of service and learning and honing his skills off to his daughter. But since Hardy was doing the movie, he was determined to help make the movie the best it could be. Mel would be perfect for it, but for some reason, he's not doing it, and I am. Yeah, for some reason. Does anybody remember him standing on top of the hood of the car being incredibly right and ranting about things? Or those infinitely hilarious voice messages that he left his terrible heathen ex-wife because she had the audacity to go to the jacuzzi before she smiled and blew him. I will never forget those. For as many great Mel Gibson performances that I've seen over the years, nothing will ever top the raw, unadulterated fury he put into those voice messages. Fantastic. No, but that's really the crux of me and George to deliver, and all the other actors, as the other characters. Now, see, everything that we're hearing from Tom Hardy, at least back in the cut when he was talking about the film, I like what he's doing, man. Like, he's paying homage. This is actually the blueprint. New actors taking on old roles. You pay homage to the legacy. You don't deride it at all. You give it the credit that it's due, and then you say that we're going to try to do the best that we can. This is why I like Tom Hardy. This is why I kind of hate the rest of modern Hollywood. Anyways, it seems many considered Hardy a worthy successor to Mad Max, given the glowing reviews the actor received, but it once claimed that Fury Road wouldn't be the last audiences saw of Hardy's Max. The report was made that in the interview Hardy did with Esquire via The Guardian at the time, it was asserted that Hardy was signed on for 3 more Mad Max movies. Well, it would have been nice to get one to begin with instead of just a bait and switch with a girl boss who would end up going on and saying very terrible things about Tom Hardy, which is another reason why I have no interest at all of going back to Mad Max Furiosa Road. Because Charlize Theron is just a backbiting. You don't need to finish that sentence. Inevitably, it's a business, right? Everything's based on figures and how they are perceived. Yeah, exactly, man. It's tough because, yeah, if he was telling like a Mad Max origin story, which the Furiosa, Mad Max, the most recent one, the one with wall-eyed Taylor Joy, they were trying to tell a prequel to a character nobody gave a shit about. That's very interesting, right? But yes, it's well known that Hardy didn't have the best of time on Mad Max. He was in a heated feud with his co-star Charlize Theron, which, yeah, seeing the way that she conducts herself, it's the polar opposite of Tom Hardy, who confided they butted heads frequently. Things between them became so intense that Theron felt a bit threatened while on set. Oh, she retroactively withdrew consent about having a good time and tried to place all the blame squarely on the men around her. Well, weird. It got to a place where it was kind of out of hand, and there was a sense that maybe sending a woman producer down could maybe equalize some of it, because I didn't feel safe, she once told Vanity Fair. Ugh, you bitch. I don't want to make excuses for bad behavior. Oh, shut up. I'm trying to say that Tom was, 10 seconds away from punching you in the yap, and you're just going to say that you were, the baby, you were simply a sparkling angel. Shut your yap. Now, I have a very clear perspective on what went down. I don't think I had that clarity when I was making those movies. I was in survival mode. Yes, of course, not taking any responsibility. Big shock on that one. That's why you're still alone, you spinster. I was really scared shitless, yes. Because little tiny Tom Hardy was just going to beat the brakes off of you. Not too long ago, Miller revisited Theron's rivalry with Hardy, revealing that Hardy didn't even want to leave his trailer because of Theron. Yeah, exactly. What did she have to do to add to this rivalry? Tom has a damage to him, but also a brilliance that comes with it. And whatever was going on with him at that time, he had to be coaxed out of his trailer, Miller told the Telegraph. Whereas Charlize was incredibly disciplined, a dancer by training, which told in the precision of her performance, and always the first one on set. She was trying to be a brown-nosing see you next Tuesday. But Miller also asserted that things eventually improved between the two actors. Yeah, exactly. She got her arm chopped off, and Tom just couldn't stop laughing. Oh, no, right, it's just a movie. I'm an optimist, so I saw their behavior as mirroring their characters, which they had to learn to cooperate in order to ensure mutual survival. There's no excuse for it, and I think there's a tendency in this business to use great performances as an excuse for other disruptions that could be avoided, which, yeah, of course, great performances, people had generally decent things to say about the characters, but like I said, it didn't set the world on fire back in 2015. The most recent outing definitely did not, and so those 3 other Mad Max films, as Tom would now go on to say, yeah, it's not in the cards, but George Miller, I guess forever the optimist, like he said, Tom Hardy, was he going to return for Mad Max in the Wasteland if the planets align? But that's all we have at this point in time, man. If the planets align, if things can happen, but let's be honest, man, the same thing's going to end up happening. For as much goodwill as Tom Hardy has, he's still got to carry that baggage. That slanderous bitch, Charlize Theron, from back in the cut the last time that there was a Mad Max joint with Tom Hardy attached to it, because that's what the mass media is going to run with. Hollywood Reporter is going to say the abuse of Mad Max is back on screen and he has to atone for his sins. Can he overcome the baggage? Variety will write. And Deadline, I don't know, they'll just probably be blunt about it. Tom Hardy, the abuser, finally gets his own Mad Max joint, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. Again, if they wanted to make a Mad Max film, there's a very easy way to go about this. It's not rocket science at all whatsoever. There's one person that you could call that would make this an immediate hit. And you know what? It's just a theory, guys. It really is. It's a game. No, I'm joking. But no, seriously. If you want to revive an old franchise, you gotta call the guy who is responsible for it being a franchise in the first place. You gotta get on the horn and talk to Mel Gibson, because why he might not be doing that with Mad Max, but they're doing that with Lethal Weapon? Yo, let's talk about this real quick, because I love me some Lethal Weapon.
I'm gonna direct the 5th film in the Lethal Weapon series.
Yo, that's fantastic, except for the fact that, that's one of those things, man, okay? If I'm to have nostalgia about anything, it's going to be kind of the Lethal Weapon series, because that was one of those things alongside Tombstone. If my father was ever home, if he had a day off from work, or if it was a sick day or something like that, you could go ahead and bet, if it wasn't just, MASH reruns on TBS or something like that, it would end up being Tombstone would get thrown on if he was sick. Like, that was always going to be the go-to. I've seen, Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp more than I've probably seen my soul on my left foot. Then, of course, the first 3 Lethal Weapons, they're right up there as well, okay? Gary Busey before his mind went kaploot. Mel Gibson trying to hang himself in the first one. The first one's awfully dark, but it's great. And the chemistry between Mel Gibson and Danny Glover was fantastic. You know, I'm too old for this shit. It's kind of hilarious given the fact that Lethal Weapon 5 is coming out, and, you know, they had their retirement with the less than stellar Lethal Weapon 4, Lethal Weapon 4, which I think it was the first film, or at least the first prominent film, Jet Li was in. To the theaters to watch that. That's kind of crazy, actually, to think about. And now we're finally going to be getting a fifth one. And as I was going to call him Max, but as Mel will go on and say, well, there's reasons to get excited, I guess.
And, you know, Richard Donner, who did the other 4, sadly passed away. And he's a good friend, and he kind of tasked me with carrying the flag home on that one. So I find it'll be an honor for me to do that. Yeah, and we're trying to keep it. He had gone a fair way into the screenplay, so we've used what was there, and we kept, you know, kind of poking at it and working it. I'm pretty happy with it. It's good. I had a lot of fun doing it. So
you were saying in the meet and greet earlier that you know, you've been working on the script and you're really, really happy with it, and you think there's a lot of funny bits, and you're very confident it's going to do. Yeah, I think it's going to be huge when it's announced.
It's funny.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like, for as much as people complain about Hollywood, you know, franchise fatigue and all that stuff, but you get a Lethal Weapon movie back at a point in time where, you know, action films, lower budget, because for as big of a star as Mel Gibson is, you know, he's also got to be able to read the room, which he has done exceptionally well, especially with his other outings when he's been a director. I mean, prior to The Hangover and more of the inflated budgets and the inflated box office ticket prices, okay, he was the director of some of the highest grossing R-rated movies that are out there, so he knows, and his production company knows damn well how to create profitable movies. So if this is going to be something that is very near and dear to him, I don't see why that wouldn't be the case.
But it's pretty serious too. It's like it tackles a couple of hard issues, so I'm looking forward to do that.
Yeah, and there was also some rumors that I also heard over the top of this that Danny Glover is going to be coming back, so I guess maybe it's going to be a send-off, and I would look forward to that, 1,000%, and so many other people would as well, and it just goes to show you, man, even just the theoretical tease of Mel Gibson coming back to a giant Hollywood franchise, coming back in a big way. Like, I understand, you know, what was that, Daddy's Home 2, the one with Marky Mark and Will Ferrell. He's done a couple of things, but this would definitely be Mel Gibson is back at the time where, you know, star power really isn't carrying anything, but it's kind of on a different level. It would be like if Johnny Depp returned to Pirates of the Caribbean, Mel Gibson comes back as Murtaugh. I mean, it's easy money that's right there. It's money that's right there on the table, and it can really, if done well enough, you know, give the shine to the next crop of stars, because, brother, they need it. So shout out to Mel Gibson. He's always been one of my favorites, and if he is honest and this is legitimate that he's coming back, I'm looking forward to this stuff. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.